Hello everybody, good evening and welcome to the United Stand. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Lots to talk about tonight, about the derby, about the result, about what that means for Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes has been talking, Harry Maguire has been undermined. Lots to get into in the show, and also because it's Friday, it's before a derby, I actually do want to get into a bit of a Q&A with you, which we've not done for quite a while. And you know what, it's Christmas as well. Somebody said, because I did say on an earlier show, if you want to get your Christmas jumpers, get your orders in early, because if you shipping times, etc. Someone said, can you wear one? So I've been in the cupboard and I've dug this one out from last year. Lovely. You could look like me. Well, you're never going to look like this, but you could wear a jumper like the one I'm wearing. Links in the chat. We do ship worldwide. Check it out. But how are we all doing this Friday evening? You know what? Really interesting. I was listening to a podcast today. I think it was like Manchester Evening News podcast or something like that. With and it was very interesting what they said. I think it was Samuel Luckhurst, who's the chief Manchester United correspondent for Manchester Evening News, and he was saying, if Man United lose 4-0, I can't see how they don't make a change. If they lose 3-0, they'll probably stick with him. And I was like, oh my God. And to be fair, he even said it's an embarrassment that Manchester United didn't sack Solskjaer after the Liverpool game. So he's not saying Ollie should stay if we lose 3-0. He was talking about a few times in the podcast about Manchester United, quite rightly, about Manchester United's hierarchy and how they're so out of touch that they haven't got a bloody clue. And that if Ollie loses 4-0, that'd be embarrassing. But if he loses 3-0, he'll probably survive. And I was just like, he's probably not wrong. He's probably not wrong saying that. You know, Ollie can lose 1 or 2-0 and they'll go, oh, it wasn't that bad a loss. And yet we'd probably be 11 points off the top if Chelsea beat Burnley. So we'll get into that tonight. But first of all, let's talk about Cavani. Another injury blow for another injury blow for Edison Cavani. This is coming tonight. I've seen it on a number of social media outlets. I think it's via a journalist who is actually Uruguayan, saying that he's been struggling with tendon pain over the last couple of days and will not be involved in the derby, which is interesting because you would have thought with Cavani, because it's I don't know whether he'll be playing for Uruguay in the international break, but it's one of those where if he does play through the barrier, he's got a couple of weeks until the next game. But one thing we understand about Cavani, and it was something I'll put my hands up and I criticised him with and the media criticised with him last year, is he refused to go to a game, didn't he, where the Man United medical staff had said he was fit and he refused to play, and everyone saw that as like he was going to leave the club anyway. And you know what sort of player does that? Actually, educating yourself on Cavani, what he does is he just will not play when he can feel something, because obviously he's not got much time left, so he doesn't want to go and get lots and lots of long-term injuries. So if he can feel something, he won't play, and he's very, very aware of his own body. And look, you know, Cavani's like 100 miles an hour. You know, he's pressing from the front. It's not like he's one of those players that, you know, it's not like Sturridge at Liverpool, you know, he just seems to be injured all the time and, you know, you never see him. Unfortunately for Cavani, he always seems to miss the Manchester derby. I don't know whether he's actually played in Manchester derby yet, but he does seem to miss a lot of Manchester derbies. The trouble is you just can't trust Cavani. Now, I was completely wrong about Cavani. I didn't want us to buy him. I didn't think he'd be that good in the Premier League. I was wrong. But one thing I was right about is I said his injury record before we bought him, in the 2 years before he came to United at PSG, was horrific. It was like watching Saving Private Ryan in the first few minutes. There's just so many injuries there. It's ridiculous. And that was in France, the start. And it is. It is like that with Cavani. His injury record is really, really bad. And it's been really bad at Manchester United. And I refer to what we were discussing in the summer. We were talking about the season ahead. And really, I don't think we can moan about this too much, because we were talking about this at the start of the season, and we basically said that Cavani will probably only be involved in 60% of United's games. Well, 60% of their games is nearly 50%, isn't it? But it's not much better than 50%. So if he plays against Atalanta, he probably doesn't play against Liverpool. And that's what Cavani's going to be like. You can't build any momentum with Cavani because he's always going to be potentially injured and you never know when he's going to be available. So it will be frustrating to a lot of people. You know what? I'm not actually that bothered. I think Cavani gives us a lot. And a Cavani-Ronaldo front two, if we play a back five, is better than any other front two we can play. But what did I say? Dan James came in and played against Man City and caused them problems. And I know Rashford's not playing particularly well at the moment, but Rashford's quick. And it only needs a slip at the back or something like that. You know, I'm hoping first 10 minutes tomorrow, ball over the top. Maybe Diaz slips a bit. Rashford gets away from him. He pulls his shirt, red card. Something like that. And Rashford's pace could do that. Cavani and Ronaldo ain't going to cause that problem. So I would play Rashford tomorrow even if Cavani was fit, because I just think that we're going to be really basic tomorrow in how we play. We're going to give up possession. We're going to hit on the break. We're going to try and defend. And it'd be nice to have an out ball, which is just going to cause them problems. But we'll talk about that a little bit more in a bit, because, for a club that's meant to be very long-term under Ollie, and they've told us they're long-term, how short-term is it to play at home with a back five and try and hit them on the break and give them possession? How do you feel about that? It's about results at the end of the day, but how do you feel about that? So, yeah, Cavani is the story tonight. Potentially, probably will not be involved tomorrow in the game for Manchester United. Could you try to explain Ole Gunnar's tactics? 4-2-3-1, says Benji. Well, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's tactics are basically counter-attack, aren't they? I can't cope with this abnormal feeling of wanting Manchester United to win, but cannot stand by Ole and the coaches. My emotions for United are in purgatory, says Daniel Hay. Well, look, I think, Daniel, there's so many Manchester United fans that are like that at the moment, and I certainly am. I want to win tomorrow. I wanted to beat Spurs. I wanted to beat Atalanta. I was over the moon with that equaliser that Ronaldo scored, and you contrast my reaction with that of Paul Scholes, and I understand Paul Scholes' reaction. Whatever it was sort of like, because he's probably thinking, United have played absolutely crap and they've done it again. And I think United fans are just craving us to play well and score goals like that. But, we're not playing well. And, we should be playing a lot better than we are. But I want to win tomorrow. I wanted to beat Liverpool. I want to beat, Watford in a couple of weeks. But I don't believe in this coach. And everybody, I've never spent so much time watching back our content and reading the chat. And I don't normally do it as much as I have done this week, because when I've been saying things, I'm not being vain listening back to myself. I'm sort of half listening to what I'm saying, and I'm monitoring the live chat, which you can watch back, and I'm looking at what people say, and I've been reading a lot of articles and stuff this week, and I think that the general consensus at Manchester United is that the fan base, the media, and a lot of people feel that United are just a dead club. Like the ambition is dead. Like everybody knows Ollie's not going to work, but the club are just like, well, let's stick by it. So, and by doing that, it's just unambitious, isn't it? It's like going into a Formula One race with half a tank of petrol and no tyres to change. You're never going to finish the race. You're certainly not going to get in the podium. But you know what? Let's just carry on. And I feel that that's what United have become. And yeah, I think it's a really weird situation where you want to win, but you don't believe in the coach, and he's not going to be good enough, but you become this short-termism, don't you? Well, if we win tomorrow, it's a hard one. Mark, I would start Anthony Martial, says Ram. I would start Anthony Martial. I'll be in the minority, and I'm sure you would be as well, Ram, but I think Anthony Martial in the front two would work well with Ronaldo, but he won't do it. If Zidane came into the club, who do you think would be in the starting squad, says Eduardo? I don't know. I think everyone gets a clean slate, but I certainly don't think he would be benching Paul Pogba and Donny van der Beek and Jadon Sancho. Over the next 10 years, we're going to regress to 5th or 6th place, and the Glazers will tap out. That's the only hope of getting rid of them, says Just Football. And Mark, we have only played 10 games, still 28 games left in the league this season to catch up. Mark, you are talking out your ass, man. You are talking out your ass. We're going to catch up over the next 28 games. I hope that's a joke. I really do. But, just going back to that comment from Just Football about the Glazers tapping out, this is the thing that terrifies me more than anything, is that they are business people. They don't wake up in the morning like we do and go, God, I just want Manchester United to win trophies. They wake up in the morning and probably don't even think about United. It's just a revenue stream. And when that revenue stream because they don't care about the club or winning, as long as it's making money for them, they'll carry on. When it stops making money, because they're making money now and we're shit. They're making money now and we are shit. So they're not bothered. What needs to happen is for them to check out, like Just Football says, is for the Glazers to check out the club needs to start losing money. Well, if we're not losing money when we're shit, imagine how shit we'd need to be to start losing money. So I agree. I think my fear is we could get a whole lot worse than we are now, and then the Glazers will say we've had enough. Interesting article on The Athletic about how the Glazers don't care about the debt they've put on the club and aren't in any rush to clear it. Well, we know that, Paul Cross, we do. And Mark, do you think Maguire, Shaw, Rashford are motivated enough to improve because they know they picked no matter what? No competition for places, says FC, says Akil. Well, I want to talk about Harry Maguire tonight, but let me just talk about Bruno Fernandes, because we spoke about him at the end of the press conference where these quotes have come out from Bruno saying that the manager's a really nice guy and the players have got to take some responsibility, etc., etc. I disagree with that. I think the players haven't got to take any responsibility because they're victims of poor coaching. But it was really interesting. Let me just get the quote because it's on my Twitter. There was a quote from Bruno Fernandes which I had to double check. And I was like, this is so dangerous. False information is dangerous. I think you can comment, what we talk about on this channel isn't always fact. Of course it's not, because it's in the media. And we might be talking about the Athletic saying we're in for a player. We might be talking about, the Manchester Evening News saying the manager's job is in danger, etc., etc. So you're commenting on stories. But when you've got Bruno Fernandes saying this, if we look at last season, this is a direct quote, if we look at from Sky, if we look at last season, at this point we have more points than last season, so that's not so bad. That's Bruno Fernandes today on Sky saying, if you look at last season, at this point we've got more points than we had last season, so that's not so bad. Now in the wider context, he also said we've not got enough points as we need, we've lost some games at home which we're not happy about, but he comes out with that quote, if we look at last season, at this point we've got more points than last season, so that's not so bad. It's not right. People listen to that and they'll go, oh, he's making a good point. It's spin, spin, spin. Who's given him that information? Where's that information come from? And this is the danger about information, is if certain people do a quote, people will take it as true. When Bruno Fernandes says we've got more points than we did last season and it's not as bad as it could be, people are going to believe that, because why would Bruno Fernandes have wrong information? Why would he come out with that? And yet he does. Because last season we had 19 points after 10 games and at the moment we've got 17. So we're not in a better position than we were last season. And yet that quote goes out there on Sky from Bruno Fernandes and people believe it to be true. And 2 points is a lot different in the early stages of the season. 19 points, 17 points might not seem massive, but actually when we've only got 19 points, 2 points is 10%. So that's a lot more than what we're at. So, people will listen to that quote and go, we're in a better position than we were last year. We're not. And we had a bad start to the season last year. We lost to Palace, we lost to Spurs. I think we lost to somebody else in the opening 10 games. So we had a bad start to the season last year. We didn't, and we're not in a better position than we were last year. So that's dangerous that goes out there, because it's spin, 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 isn't it? It drops into people's head that, yeah, you know what, it's not bad. It's not as bad as it was last year. Well, it is. It's worse than last year. But how's that? So how does that go out there? And you know what? I don't think Bruno Fernandes has said that without somebody telling him. I mean, I don't know, but I certainly don't. Why would Bruno put out false information? I reckon he's been told that. I think it's a bit of the spin. But I mean, it's a little thing, but it's a big thing, because people will listen to Bruno and go, oh, we're not in such a bad position. And I was like, I'm sure we've got less points than last year. I tell you what we have got. We've got exactly the same points that Jose Mourinho had in the season he was sacked. 17 points after 10 games. And he won his next game. And we're playing Man City. So if we don't win tomorrow, we've got less points than Jose had after 11 games. And he got sacked a few weeks later. So, Mark, do you think if we win the Champions League with Ollie, by the way, do you think that would change your mind and the fans' mind about Ollie out, says Eduardo? Eduardo, I will, I'm doing a bit of a Q&A tonight, so I'm happy to answer the questions. Always happy to answer the questions anyway. But I don't like the word Ollie out. It's a bit like, it just seems a little bit immature to me. Ollie out, Ollie in, that. I'm not going to use the word Ollie out. I don't believe in this coaching, and I would sack it, is my stance. I'm going to stay that way for a long time until there is definitive evidence that I need to come back. This has been 3 years in the making. 3 years of being unsure but sticking by him and, this, that and the other. And I feel that having said I don't believe in this coach anymore, it would be silly of me to come back because we win 3 or 4 games to have to come away again. So I will remain I don't believe in this coach and coaches until they prove otherwise. And for me to be proved otherwise, in fairness, it would have to be holding up a Premier League trophy or a Champions League, yes. Hi Mark, our standards have been put between some toes and chewed up and spat out by Scholes. They're so bad that the new United way is to sit back with a back nine and hope for a lucky call, says Akil. Well, I want to talk about that. It's a good point. Mark, I'm watching Southampton versus Villa and the Saints are moving the ball around better than us. How can the players and ex-players be still Ollie in, says Saga. And Zinedine Zidane for me as coach. People forget on the 2018 Champions League he beats every league champion, PSG, Bayern, Juventus, Liverpool. He isn't Ollie, says Marcellino. I don't know where that's come from. It's Zidane is a very good coach. Ollie about McFred, energy, desire, good boys. Bruno about Ollie, a great person. Descriptions as people, not as professionals. Ollie can't talk about McFred's talents and Bruno can't talk about Ollie's talents. I spoke about that before, Carlos. You're spot on. You know what? If I was to ask you about Lionel Messi, what is it you like about Lionel Messi, the footballer? Would you say, I just love his smile and his little haircut? I've heard he's a great laugh. On holiday. You talk about his free kicks, his left foot, his ability to take on a player. You're absolutely spot on. When our players describe the manager or our manager describes McFred, he's talking about their bloody personalities, not about their footballing ability. Which, you know what, it does sort of say everything, doesn't it? Anyway, going back to that previous chat, because I want to get as many questions in tonight as possible, but there are a few topics to talk about. We spoke about Cavani. I wanted to mention that Bruno quote because I found that quite weird. But and we'll talk about Maguire in a minute because there's a story about Harry Maguire feeling the pressure of being Manchester United captain. So I want to talk about that as well. But first of all, let's talk about this game tomorrow because there's a good thing here. There is a good thing here, and I like to get the conversation going so you start thinking and I can start thinking with you. But again, this is a third party. I was listening to something today and they were talking about United and they were talking about how it's really funny in a not funny way that Manchester United have spent 3 years talking about the cultural reset at United and the long-term vision under Ollie, which started 3 years ago. And yet 3 years later, he really should have been sacked. He's not been sacked. And the club has become more short-term than it's ever been under Van Gaal, Mourinho, Moyes. So, the club are actually ridiculing themselves by the minute because they've spent 3 years telling everybody about a cultural reboot, developing the youth, attacking football, the United way. How many times have we heard Woodward talk about the United way? And now we don't play the United way, we don't develop youth, and we're the most short-term football club with actually, can anybody tell us what our ambitions are this season other than trying to survive game to game? And if it's Ronaldo with a winner or David De Gea with a world-class save or we grind out a result, that's absolutely fine. We have become survivors, FC. There is no ambition. There's nobody saying we need to win the FA Cup. There's no one saying we need to win the Champions League or the Premier League because that's not what it is now. It's literally backs to the wall and try and defend this, inevitability, I suppose. And what it got me thinking is that, and Ketten says, I know it's not possible, but what if we're able to win all 5 matches with the same performances we gave against Atalanta? What's next for us? Well, Ketten, I think you make a good point. Look, this is not the first time this has happened. A year ago, we lost to Istanbul. We went to Everton. We won 3-1. It could have been 2-2 if Decore took the chance. We went up the other end and made it 3-1. We ground out a lot of results. We got knocked out of the Champions League and went into the Europa League, but he kept his job because we actually went top of the league in January and we ground out a lot of results, whether they were lucky 1-0 wins because of late deflections or whatever. That's what happened. So we know we're capable of doing that. I think the question you need to answer now is, it's all right a year ago in year 2, but in year 3, where are you? Where I suppose what I'm trying to say is, where's your head at, right? Because we know to win the next 4 games, we're going to have to do what we did a year ago, which is grind it out. Is that acceptable in year 3? I think people put up with it last year because it was like, get to the summer, buy a centre midfielder, get Sancho in, and play better football. Well, we did all that. And now we're doing it again. And we're doing it again because that's the ceiling of the coaches. So the question I would ask is this. Zoya says, Martial, Van der Beek, Sancho, Ahmad, Pogba, Matic. Do you notice a pattern? Ollie doesn't like technical players. Our team lacks quality on the ball. But I would riddle you this. If tomorrow against Manchester City, we line up with a back 5 and we basically give up possession and let them have the possession and try and hit them on the break, We're doing that at Old Trafford at 12:30 with the world watching in front of 75,000 fans. Now, if we win that game 1-0, Manchester is red. We've won. You know, end of the day, that's what matters. It's a results business. But the bigger picture is, if we do that and Chelsea beat Burnley, they're still 8 points ahead of us. What are we going to do against Watford and Chelsea? What are we going to do against Arsenal? We're going to do that against them, back five at home against Arsenal and try and grind out a result. Where's the longevity? And I think this is the problem now. It's become so short term. We're literally like, please win the derby tomorrow. Don't matter how we do it. We've basically burnt whatever the plan was, because Ollie for the rest of this season cannot afford to lose a game badly again. So he's got to play counter-attacking football and try and limit the goals. And if we're playing tomorrow with a back five, hitting City on the break at home in front of 75,000 fans, and Donny van der Beek and Jadon Sancho and Mason Greenwood and Marcus Rashford and obviously not Paul Pogba are all on the bench, what are we? Who are we? And how is that actually? Are we just trying to keep Ollie in a job FC tomorrow? And I think we probably are. And I think this is why, when United fans are thinking, how do we get the fans excited again? Well, maybe you need to stop asking the question, how do we get the fans excited again? And look at why you're trying to get the fans excited again, because you're the ones who are sticking by this regime. And effectively, how are fans meant to get excited when Manchester United's rich tapestry of history is to be the team that has the ball and attacks, not the team that sits back at home against Man City, who 15 years ago didn't even really exist as a threat. Yet now they're coming to Old Trafford and dominating the ball with a fantastic manager and a fantastic team. And we're basically sitting deep, counter-attacking. I mean, it's great if we win, but it's an underdog story. It's David against Goliath tomorrow, isn't it? And I think that we're almost losing that. And I'm not angry about it. I'm posing the question, why is it now that their football club think it's acceptable for fans to have to go into a game against Man City at home knowing we're going to give possession up, knowing we're going to have to try and hit them on the break? And we might win that game and we might win the battle, but we will not win the war. We will not win the war playing like that, defensive counter-attacking football. We won't. We've already lost the war this season because we're never going to get into a title race. So I almost feel like the tables have turned, and I hate to say this because it's an admission of defeat. I think we've become City. We've become the second-class citizen of Manchester, where they've got the better manager, the better team, the better prospects, and we're basically playing in a derby, trying to cause an upset, and if we do, we can have a bit of victory over them on them for a few days, but ultimately they're going to go off and win the big prizes and we're not. That is a damning indictment on where United are. I don't really blame Ollie, I blame the Glazers for that, because they've allowed that situation to come and they think it's okay. And imagine if we win tomorrow. Imagine if Manchester City have 95%, no, not 95. Man City have 70% possession, right? They have 12 shots on target. David De Gea's man of the match. We don't concede a goal, and then we have 30% possession. We get a corner, Ronaldo scores it, and we win 1-0. We're all going to be going mad. Oh, what a win, what a win, what a win. But in the context of the game, you win, but at what cost? What's next? Of course, I totally agree that people will say, well, what do you want to do? That's the brilliant response. What do you want to do then? Do you want us to try and take them on toe-to-toe? No. The sad thing is, I fully agree that we have to play with the back five and sit back and counter-attack. The same way we did 2 years ago with Dan James. The same way we did against Chelsea. The same way we've been doing for most of the last 3 years. But my point is, yes, we have got to do it, but why are we still doing it 3 years in? Where's this long-term project, and why are United still playing counter-attacking football at home against big rivals? Where's the development in the coaching? And the reality is, the short answer is there hasn't been, and that's why we need to move on. Marcus has 3 goals in 5. How is he not playing well? Not arguing, just want to know your thoughts, says Daniel Kirk. And last question, Mark. There is such a weird vibe around the club. If Ollie does stay till the end of the season, where do you see the club going, says Eduardo. I think we'll finish 4th, Eduardo. And dependent on how seriously Liverpool, Chelsea and Man City take the FA Cup, if they don't take it seriously, we might win the FA Cup, but it'll be fourth and an FA Cup. We're not going to win the Champions League, and I expect us to not be in the Europa League this year. Marcus has got 3 goals in 5 games. How is he not playing well? He's not playing well though, Daniel, is he? He's a very good player and he can take a chance, but I don't think he's playing well. I don't think anybody would... I actually would play Marcus Rashford tomorrow, but I don't think in the main people think he's playing well. Just because he's a club legend, that gives him the right to destroy the club's future, says Oz. But yeah, you know what, look, it's not the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer attack club. You know, the reality is the Glazers could have sacked him and they should have sacked him. I don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is purposely destroying the football club. I think he's a man who believes that he can improve the football club. But you know, whether he can do that or not, I don't know. Counter-attacking is key, and Rashford's performance might determine our success. Rashford needs to take players on more than sideways passes to Shaw, says O'Gunnar. And the fans are awake now that we can all see that the way to try and pull the wool over our eyes isn't working, and they expose themselves, says Tyrese. Daniel Kirk, we've done. The target is to accumulate more points than last, says Al. Thanks, mate. Motivational speaking there from Al. And okay, we've got that one as well. Okay, brilliant. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is Harry Maguire. There was a story that came out today that Harry Maguire is feeling the pressure as Manchester United captain, that it's nothing to do with injury or that or fitness or anything like that. He's sinking under the pressure of being Manchester United captain. That and this is just a report, and I'm going to tell you what I think about this report in a minute, that there was a bit of dressing room unrest when he was actually appointed the captain after being at the club for only 3 months, and that caused a bit of a divide in the fan base in relation to respecting him anyway. And now that Varane and Ronaldo have come into the club, Harry Maguire's feeling the pressure even more, because some people didn't really rate him as a captain anyway in the dressing room, and now you've got Ronaldo and Varane who are serial winners, and he's meant to be leading them, and he feels a bit under pressure about that. Now, I've got to say, I think this story is a load of crap, and I will defend Harry Maguire on this. I think this is a load of crap. I think it's a story that makes a lot of sense if you want to believe it, because Harry Maguire, how could Harry Maguire tell Cristiano Ronaldo and Rafael Varane what to do, or how to lead, or how to win, when he's never won anything and they've won everything? You know, how can Cristiano Ronaldo or Rafael Varane be told what to do? And also, what about the players who've been at the club longer than Harry Maguire and he's been given the captaincy? Why would they respect a man that's, doesn't know the club as well as they do? So I can see where this story might have come from, but I actually do smell a bit of shit here, because I actually think it's just a story to undermine Harry Maguire. Now, people would be quite surprised about this, because I've been quite critical of Harry Maguire over the last year and a half. But I think since Christmas, he really found some consistency, and all the way up to the Euros, I thought he was playing really well. Obviously, at the start of last season, he wasn't very good, and at the start of the season, he's not been very good. But I'm a firm believer that if somebody's underperforming, they should be called out. And Maguire's quite right to be called out at the moment. But I'm also a firm believer that if they are a Manchester United player, you should always try and defend them. And I don't think that Harry Maguire, this captaincy thing, I just don't think this story is true. And I think it's just a story out there to sort of undermine our captain, who probably wouldn't be my captain, but is my captain of Manchester United. So I just don't think this story is true. I can see why people would think it is true, because, you know what, how can he tell Rafael Varane and Ronaldo what to do, etc. But I just don't think it's true. And I think that the most important thing about tomorrow is that Harry Maguire will play, and we need him to have a good game. Ollie's a nice guy and a man manager. Ask United greats Valencia Romero. The treatment was shambolic. Too bad it took for years all to wake up, says Tabrez. I mean, you know what? I think that fits in, Tabras, with exactly what a lot of people are waking up to. I think for the last 2.5 years, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's management, he's lived off. He's a great man manager, and he's really good at developing the youth. Well, the developing the youth thing is a complete and utter myth. And he's a great man manager. Well, he's not. He's just not. Whether it's Romero, Valencia, as you said there, Donny van der Beek, Tellez, Sancho, there's so many players that have not been treated well under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I think he's a great man manager of people that are in his favourites, but he's not a great man manager when it comes to, everybody. And that's what a great man manager is. Whether it's at McDonald's, Manchester United, or Macclesfield Town, a great man manager is somebody who manages everybody, who everybody respects, who everybody listens to. And that is not the case, is it? I believe that we lose tomorrow no matter what. No matter the final score, we lose as a fan base. If we win, Ollie stays. If we lose, we fall further behind in the league. We look forward to nothing weekly, says Akil. Ronaldo is the only one playing well, then surely, says Daniel. And hi, Mark. Hope the family's doing well. Will you be doing a chart show on Sunday if we win tomorrow, says Pierre? Mate, I couldn't do a chart show if I wanted to. I just don't have that in me at the moment. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I don't have that enthusiasm around Manchester United at the moment. I feel like I need to talk about Manchester United more than I've ever done, but I don't have any enthusiasm about it, and I think the club are to blame. Of course the club are to blame for that. It's not, the club drive the enthusiasm. I don't feel very enthusiastic at the moment. I love Cristiano Ronaldo, but I almost dread when Ronaldo scores in a crap game, because I know for the next day all United are going to tweet and post about is Ronaldo, and I'm like, it's just all a big cover-up. Oh, look at Ronaldo. We're not Ronaldo. We're Manchester United. I love Ronaldo, but we're Manchester United. And it's like, oh, Ronaldo scored a goal in a crap game. Oh, look at Ronaldo. And I'm like, the enthusiasm, I don't fall into the category of being a supporter of a player over a club. But it's almost as if United are pushing that now, because they've got Ronaldo and he's the only positive. Oh, Ronaldo this, Ronaldo that, Ronaldo FC. And I'm like, we're Manchester United. I love Ronaldo, but we're Manchester United. And I don't really have any enthusiasm around Manchester United that goes beyond game to game, because they've reset the expectations and then they've not told us what the expectations are now. All I remember is Ollie saying at the start of the season that the plan is to be in a title race in April. We're not in a title race in November. So what are we doing now? I actually want them to come out and tell us what we're doing. And if he comes out and says top 4 and a cup, well, I totally agree. I totally disagree with that. But at least there is something to go for. People will say, well, if he says that, people are going to have a go at him. I don't think that they will, because everyone knows they've lowered the standards this season. So they may as well accept the standards have been lowered and tell us what the plan is. But now it almost feels like, yeah, we want to be in a title race. We're not going to be in a title race, are we? To be in a title race, we'd have to win every game between now and Christmas. And whilst it could happen, I just can't see it. Going back to the man management, though, I just wanted to say this as well. We've been talking yesterday about what were we talking about? We're talking about Sancho and Lingard being left out of the England squad. Anthony Martial did miss out on the French squad as well. I knew that would happen. Now, Martial, Lingard and Sancho have been named in the last few international squads. Now, this happened to Donny van der Beek and it happened to Telles. When we bought Donny, he was a Dutch international. When we bought Telles, he was a Brazilian international. They're not anymore. Now, Lingard, Martial and Sancho aren't either. Now, the thing that frustrates me about this, and it goes back to the man management thing a bit as well, is that, and, it's always difficult when you do it around Pogba, because people start talking about race and things like that, and that's not what I'm talking about. When I say the treatment that Pogba gets, like he got this week, compared to a McTominay or a Rashford or a Maguire, is wrong, because and he gets it because the media, certain ex-players and some people in our fan base just seem to go after foreign players more. That's what I'm talking about. And I've seen it with Bruno, I've seen it with David De Gea, and I've seen it with Anthony Martial. And I think we see it with coaches as well. Now, the weird thing is, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a foreign coach because he's Norwegian. But obviously, he's not really... Well, he is Norwegian, of course, but he spent so much of his career in England, he's almost seen as a British, because the media know him. And what I'm going to say here is that it's nothing to do with Paul Pogba. It's nothing to do with Martial or Bruno or the favouritism that you get for British players that we all know exists. It's also the different treatment that Solskjaer gets, maybe because he's a legend, maybe because he spent most of his time living in England, compared to Mourinho and Van Gaal. I know, and I was thinking about this the other day, I know for a fact, if Jose Mourinho had been in charge of United, and when he came in, Donny, Telles, Martial, Lingard and Sancho were all internationals, and now they're not, that would be made a huge deal of by the media and ex-players. Huge deal would be made of that. He's ruining careers. He's not good for this football club. Van Gaal, exactly the same would have happened. He's ruining careers. He spent money on these players. 35 million on Van der Beek. 15 million on Telles, 74 million pounds on Sancho. Lingard could have gone to West Ham. He's promised him football. Now they're not internationals. It's not acceptable, Gary. It's not acceptable, Scholesy. It's not acceptable, Rio. This is, I don't know who I'm meant to be actually, but they would be doing that. So it's not just favouritism in relation to British players over our foreign players. We're getting complete favouritism with this current coach over the previous coaches. And actually, you know what? The story stands. Sancho was an international, now he's not. Lingard was an international, now he's not. Donny was an international, now he's not. Telles was an international, now he's not. Martial was an international, now he's not. Where does the blame for that lie? It's very obvious. Hello, Mark. Hope the family's doing well. Looking forward for tomorrow's watch-along. At least we get slightly distracted from all this when the United plays. Juan, I cannot wait for the game tomorrow. I want us to win that game and just, not switch off, but, just have some positivity going into the final international break before we're constantly playing football from mid-November to March. Is it not a surprise that we don't play attacking football because Carrick and co were working under Mourinho and Van Gaal with crap football, says Tyrese. And Mark, with squads and coaching combined, where do we rank out of the big six, says Connor T. Well, I think our squad is better than Liverpool, Tottenham and Arsenal. Is it better than Chelsea and Man City? It's probably not, because Chelsea and Man City's bench is brilliant and they've got balance. Chelsea and Man City have got midfielders as well as defenders and attackers. So I think Chelsea and Man City have a slightly better squad than us because it's balanced better. But we've got a better squad than Liverpool, Spurs and Arsenal. In relation to coaching, we're bottom. Spurs have definitely got a better coach than us now. I think Arteta's better. And obviously Liverpool, Man City and Chelsea have. Any rumours that Donny's starting tomorrow as Fred has picked up a knock in training? Says no. Fred was rested in the week, so I doubt he's picked up any knocks. There's no chance that Donny van de Beek is going to start tomorrow. Even my son questions why I support Manchester United, says no fear. Well, look, that's one thing I would always say, is that even if Man United got relegated under Ollie and went down to League One, you should still support the club. You might be very vocal about where it's going, but you wouldn't, I can never understand why, somebody would go, I'm not going to support United anymore. Because that's what support is, isn't it? You stick by your club. But just going back to what somebody said about Carrick and McKenna there, let's not forget what I said at the start of the stream this afternoon. Jose Mourinho always had his coaching team around him. Rui Faria was his assistant coach. I think he'd been with him since his Porto days, but certainly was there at Inter, Real Madrid, Chelsea, start of Manchester United, leaves in the summer when we finish second place, and then Mourinho's out of a job by Christmas. And who were his assistant coaches then? It was Carrick and McKenna. And who are Ollie's assistant coaches now? Carrick and McKenna. So it's interesting, isn't it, that there is that little bit of connection if you want to read into that. But you can read into anything. The reality is they've got to win tomorrow. I don't think I don't want to lose tomorrow, but I don't want to draw. I wouldn't say I'd rather lose than draw, but a draw is a horrible result. I mean, I want to win. I just want to win. That's the result I want. But I don't want to draw. And I don't want to lose. But the draw will be horrible. Because it will be like, it's nothing. Oh, 1 point. Well, I don't want to draw tomorrow. I really don't. Obviously, I don't want to lose more. But if matches finished at 80 minutes, we'd be 7th bottom and out of the Champions League, says Megan's. But they don't. They don't. Do you think that if Pep was managing United and Maguire is on his current form going against small and quick forwards that he would drop him, says Akil? Look, Akil, we can talk about tactics for and get your questions in for the last 20 minutes, by the way. Let's get into some questions. My night's going all right, Go Let It Out Oasis. I love that song. I love Oasis. And I've had a bit of fire in the background, in the back garden, and I smell a bit of smoke. And I've had a few hot dogs and stuff. It's bonfire night here in the UK, if you know what it's all about. So not a bad night. Not a bad night. Hope you're having a good one as well. Akil though makes a good point. Tactically tomorrow, I think this game is so predictable. I would love to be wrong, but I think we sit back, we sit deep. And if I go to this screen here, I don't know what's happened there. Do I not like that? Do I not like that? Let me just move that across there. Okay, so in relation to this game tomorrow, I mean, I don't think we'll line up like that for a start. So let me just take Tellez out, put Luke Shaw there. I think Harry Maguire will play here. I think Eric Bailly will play here. And I think Victor Lindelof... Where is bloody Lindelof? I can't see Lindelof. Victor! Victor! Where are you, Victor? There you are. So I think we'll play like that. Roughly. No, Victor, just stand there. McTominay and Fred will be a lot deeper. Bruno will have to be deeper as well. Stop moving yourself. This is a bloody nightmare. So Bruno will be deeper as well. Oh God, they just no wonder they won't train. Okay, so I think Harry Maguire is going to have to be here. Luke Shaw's going to have to be very close to him, and Fred's going to have to be very close to him. I think we will wrap up Harry Maguire in cotton wool tomorrow, because you're right. If he's got small players near him running at him, they'll go past him. So United are just going to have to be very, very compact tomorrow. Very, very compact. Our ex-players were all mad at LVG for benching Carrick. Now Carrick and Ollie are comfortable placing Donny on the bench as D. I just, you know what? Thing is, I'm English. But I don't see different nationalities. I just don't see it. I think footballers, ever since the '94 World Cup, when we started seeing a real influx of foreign players into the Premier League, that was a novelty. That was new. That was like, oh, Klinsmann plays in the Premier League. How many years ago was that? It's coming up for 30 years ago. I don't see nationality. I just don't see it. And yet we still see nationality in this country. In the media, we see it. You know, players get treated differently because they've got a different passport. I just don't see it. But we do. We see it all the time. They get treated differently. And I think that says a lot about this country still, that we are still seeing people as differently. And football's a great example of society sometimes. And I just don't get it. I just don't get why that is. But certainly with Van Gaal and Mourinho, they have different treatment to the way Ollie is, and yet Ollie's done exactly the same things. That's all I'm trying to say. Comparing our squad to other teams seems like we have an edge. Going by current form, players massively fall short. Are players growing under Ollie? No, Agona, they're not. Zane is in the house. Mark, Zidane is coming to Arsenal. He wants to go to London. You have become one-man team with Ronaldo. Gabriel is the best centre-back at the moment, better than Varane. Do you admit Sancho has become a flop like Pepe? No, I don't, Zane. I think that last bit is probably your best bit of the chat, because everything else you were talking complete arse. But I will acknowledge that you made a very good point, whether it was by accident or not, comparing Pepe to Sancho. What I would say about Pepe and Sancho is that I'm very surprised that Pepe flops. I actually thought he was a good signing for you, but he has not hit the heights. You know, he's not even he hasn't. He's ridiculously inconsistent. The difference with Pepe and Sancho is that Pepe, if you want to call him a flop, when he came to Arsenal was playing every game. Remember that clip you all showed of him skinning Van Dijk and nothing happened after it? But he was starting a lot of games and he wasn't performing. If you compare that to Jadon Sancho, they're similar. They are wingers, they are right wingers, and they cost roughly the same. But Jadon Sancho is failing because of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and his coaches. He's not failing because he's starting games and not playing well. He's just not being given a run in the team. Now Pepe was given a run in the team and didn't really hit the ground running. Sancho's not being given that opportunity. So look, you can call him a flop, but I don't think it's his fault. Hey Mark, what do you think Manchester United will have to do if Ronaldo picks up a knock and can't bail us out last minute anymore? Well, Kia, touch wood. The great thing about Cristiano Ronaldo is throughout his whole career, he very rarely gets injured. There's no international break at the end of bloody January. Don't start winding me up now. There is none. There can't be one. There is some news on the squad for Manchester United. No Cavani. De Gea, Henderson, Heaton, Wan-Bissaka, Delo, Maguire, Bailly, Shaw, Tellez, McTominay, Matic, Fred, Van der Beek, Fernandes, Mata, Lingard, Sancho, Ronaldo, Martial, Greenwood. So that would be no Cavani, no Lindelof. Rashford's obviously not there, but I don't think that means anything. in the grand scheme of things. These squad gets released and it doesn't necessarily mean anything. Marcus Rashford lives locally as well, so I don't think that necessarily means anything really. Yeah, that is the current state of affairs. Keep your questions coming in, everybody. That's a defensive team, says Andrew. Mate, look, to be honest, this game tomorrow is not... I mean, I think we've spoken about a lot of different things in this show today, and I've enjoyed it because we are basically 3 years into Ollie. And 3 years into Ollie, when he's played Man City numerous times like this before... Look, I just want to say this. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not an attacking coach. And I think, breaking news, 45 minutes into the show on a Friday night. It really should be at the start of a show on a Monday morning. But breaking news. It might have taken us a little while to figure this out. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not an attacking coach. And he's not very good at being an attacking coach. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a pragmatic coach. He's a reactive coach. He's a counter-attacking coach. And we can kid ourselves and pretend as much as we like and go, but he played for Sir Alex. He must be a risk-taking attacking coach. He's not. Steve Bruce played for Sir Alex. He's not an attacking coach. Ollie's not an attacking coach. Trust me, I've spent the last 2.5 years hoping he was going to start playing attacking football, and he's not. He's a pragmatic coach. That's who we are. 2.5 years into this journey, is that good enough? Of course it's bloody not. Because they've been telling us we're something we're not for 2.5 years. Long term, United way, this, that and the other. I think the biggest mistake Ollie obviously made was trying to pretend he was something that he's not. And the club verifying that. If he'd said it's about results and, sometimes, it's about winning, this, that and the other, then, look, we've been sold a lie. He's not an attacking coach. And that's the bottom line. And... going into this Manchester derby tomorrow, if we do play counter-attacking football in front of 75,000 fans with the world watching and we win the game, great. It's the only way we can win the game, so let's do that. But the bigger picture is, why are we still doing that? We did this against Man City 2 years ago. Why are we doing it 2 years later? Where's the progression? Where is this United attacking style of play? And that is the issue, isn't it? But... that issue's there tonight, tomorrow, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That's still there, regardless of the result. The result matters tomorrow. We want to win tomorrow. And also, Ollie, please don't try and attack them tomorrow because you'll get done like you did against Liverpool. His only choice against Man City is to play the way that's been successful in the past, counter-attacking. He's got to do that. But the bigger question is, why are we still doing that? How long is Varane going to be out for? 4 or 5 weeks. Cool work. So yes. And Ollie's saying we need to go on the front foot worries me. Tyrese, if we go on the front foot tomorrow and we win, amazing. But I just can't see how we can go on the front foot. You're going against a team. I mean, how many years has Pep been at Man City and how many years has he been playing that brand of football? How can you go toe-to-toe against Man City when you don't know how to play that way? You just can't. We can't press like they do. We can't pass like they do. So how can we go toe-to-toe? We'll run at them and they'll just go bang, bang, bang. And they'll be running against Harry Maguire with a 3v1 and it'll be 1-0. The thing that scares me about Man City is they're so good. A lot of the goals they score are tap-ins. David De Gea can try and close the angle and they'll square it to Foden for a tap-in. Like their passing is so good. The only way to play this game tomorrow is to park it and try and stay close together. Nobody should be 5 metres apart, more than 5 metres apart. But that means you've got to be very close to the goal. And then we hit them on the break. That's what we've got to do. We've got to hit them on the break. But my point is, and I think what a lot of people's point is, why after 2.5 years, and just listen to this statement. Why after 2.5 years of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being permanent manager, nearly 3 years altogether, are we playing Manchester City at home with a back five, sitting deep and counter-attacking? And that's the question, isn't it? What's your score prediction tomorrow, says Sam? I'm going to go with a draw. I don't think there'll be more than 3 goals in the game. I think it'll either be 1-1, 2-1, 1-0. something like that. But I'm going to go with the draw. I'm going to go 1-1. I think it'll be a tight game. You know, 12:30 on a Saturday, very rarely do you get loads of goals. It's early. I don't think it suits players to kick off at 12:30. So I think it will be a bit of a lethargic game, and I can see it being a draw. But look, just remember the bigger picture. If we draw tomorrow, we'll probably be 10 points off the top by tea time. If we win tomorrow, we'll still be 8 points off the top by tea time if Chelsea beat Burnley. So I think people are getting locked in on Man City. And I wouldn't. Now, the last thing I want to talk about, because with the next time I'm going to be live with you will be for the watch along tomorrow. We've got Adam's road trip in the morning, and then I'm going to be live just after sort of like 20 past 11 with the team news. The last section I want to talk to you about is this. The match is tomorrow. It's over at 2:30. We've then got 2 weeks of an international break. What's happening on this international break? The way I see it is this. If we beat Manchester City, he's obviously still going to be the manager. And that is right, but wrong. Because he should have been sacked after Liverpool, so therefore he shouldn't be the manager. But how can you sack a manager that's beat Spurs, drawn with Atalanta, and beat Man City? So he will be the manager if we beat Man City. If we draw with Man City, he will still be the manager when we come back for Watford, because he'll have drawn with Atalanta, drawn with Man City, and beaten Spurs. The fact that if we draw, we'd probably be 10 points off the top of the league should be sackable in itself, and I would still sack him for drawing, but the club have already decided that losing 5-0 at home to Liverpool isn't sackable, so how would a draw at home to Man City be sackable? The big question then is, if we lose tomorrow, will he be sacked on the international break? And I go back to what we were talking about what Samuel Luckhurst said. If they lose 4-0, he expects him to go. If they lose 3-0, he'd probably survive. I just think if he loses tomorrow, he's got to go. You know, he's already had the whooping off Leicester and Liverpool. Tomorrow shouldn't be about how much he gets beaten by. That's not what Manchester United's all about. If we do lose tomorrow, and I don't think we will, and I really hope we don't, but if we do lose tomorrow, whether it's 1-0, 4-0, 2-0, 3-1, 3-2, it's a loss in a game he needs to win. And it reaffirms that, and we're at home, it reaffirms that he can't get that team to beat a team he needs to beat. And I think if we lose 2-0 tomorrow and the Glazers say, oh, he can stay in a job, then again, it's just another lowering of the standards of the football club to go, well, yeah, we're at home, we've got an amazing squad, we've got an amazing fan base that's totally behind us, but losing to our neighbours, Man City at home, that's to be expected. And I think that's one of the big issues for me, is how they've lowered the standards to go, yeah, you know what, Liverpool are a good team, them beating us at Old Trafford, it's probably to be expected, you can't sack him for that. And it's all about standards, it's always about standards. So good to have you back, being bullish and demanding a win. Lately you've been awfully about everything regarding United, unlike you, says Jipak. We've got to win tomorrow. Even a win tomorrow doesn't really get us back into anything, but I personally think if he loses tomorrow, he's got to be sacked. If he wins tomorrow, then obviously he deserves to stay. But I do think it's a knife-edge result. I don't think the owners are thinking that. I don't know what you think, but I think, you know, if you lose tomorrow, bye-bye. If you win, okay, you can survive a little bit. But what I would say is, if he wins tomorrow and then we lose to Chelsea, I'd probably still get rid of him anyway. I think he's one result. I think he should already be gone. But I think he's one result away. And if we win tomorrow, we're not going to... The thing is, if we win tomorrow, we'll all be celebrating it, but are we going to win tomorrow with great... Are we going to be sat there watching Match of the Day tomorrow night because United have won 3-0, dominated Man City and played brilliant football? I bloody hope we are, but it won't be that, will it? It will be Man City have missed a hatful of chances, or they've had a man sent off, or we've had a penalty or something like that. And I'll take that, but... After Ollie's comments on Donny, I think he will start tomorrow, says Mustafa. I'll be stunned if he starts tomorrow. I really, really would be stunned if he starts tomorrow. I don't think Sancho will start. I don't think Donny will start. I think it'll be a back five. I think it'll be De Gea in goal, Wan-Bissaka, Eric Bailly, Harry Maguire, Victor Lindelof and Luke Shaw. And if Lindelof's not fit, I think he'll put Luke Shaw left-sided centre-back and put Tellez at left wing-back. McTominay and Fred, Bruno, Ronaldo, Rashford. Where does Sancho and Donny fit into that? He's not. I just think he will definitely play it. And I think he's got to play a back five. I do, because if he goes with a back four, you're leaving Maguire exposed. I think he's got to go with the back five. I don't even like the back five, but I'm just looking at what we've got. We haven't got Conte as the coach. We haven't got Klopp. We haven't got Tuchel. We haven't got Zidane. We've got Ollie. And the best thing for Ollie is to go with the back five. But we'll see what he does. I'm very much looking forward to it. But I'm nervous about it. You know, I don't normally get nervous about these games, but I think it's such a difficult one. It's such a difficult one to call. And I know I said it ahead of the Liverpool game, but my only confidence in this game is the fact that we've got an amazing home support and it's a derby. And I feel a little bit like Bruno when he's asked about the manager and says he's a nice guy, or Ollie when he's asked about McFred and he goes, they're honest and they're trustworthy. You know, really they should be talking about their attributes as managers and players. But when you're asking me about why United are going to win a derby, I'm not talking about because of our style of play or, you know, we're better than Man City. I'm basically saying, well, it's a derby and we've got a great home support. You know, that's my only confidence to get this result tomorrow. And also, we had, you know, even if we were 2-0 down to Man City at half time, we'll be attacking the Stretford end. We always are, and you just never know. If we lose tomorrow, who's available as a new coach, says Dutch United? Zinedine Zidane. Zinedine Zidane. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you're excited about the game tomorrow. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe, bottom right hand corner. And yes, this is one of our Christmas jumpers you can get hold of. I'm not wearing it because the tree's gone up or anything like that. We have re-released our Christmas jumpers for the festive period, and the reason I'm wearing it on the 5th of November is because if you live worldwide, it takes a little bit longer for them to be delivered, so we're giving you the opportunity to get your orders in. We do ship worldwide. The link's in the video description. We've got a few different Christmas jumpers. This is one of them. I think there's 3 different ones, and you can check that out through the link in the video description. Get your order in and get it in so you've got plenty of wear for it in December. Thanks for watching. I'll speak to you all in a bit, and have a great evening, day, whatever you're doing. Take care, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow. And as I said, for me, whether I support the manager, whether I support the players, whether I support the club, I support the team. That's who I support, and I want them to win tomorrow. And nothing would give me more satisfaction than beating Man City. So let's get it done tomorrow, United. Let's get the result, and let's go into it with some hope and belief, because you can guarantee every fan who's in that ground tomorrow will be going in there and singing for that team. So let's hope that the players can deliver. And as I said, I don't blame the players. I've got nothing against any of the players. I don't think some of them are good enough, but how much is that down to the coaching? You know, as I said, if we change the coach, it's a clean slate for every one of these players. So I don't blame the players. I think it's very clear what the problem is in that team, and let's see what we can get tomorrow. Thanks everyone for watching. Speak to you all in a bit.